Yes, yes, yes. Here once again, Jericho Green with another edition, another episode, if you will, on Green's House. You know how I do it here. I have amazing people telling very interesting stories. And today, my friends, is no different. We have a high standard around here, and damn it, I'm going to maintain it. That's why I have people like this young man here to hang out with me. I actually met him, I think last year. I think it's just been about exactly a year on the Double Impact show. Shout out to Gabe and Sean. He was kind enough to come on there and talk about a movie called Double Team starring Jean Claude Van Damme and Dennis Rodman. Now, the reason this man is significant in that movie is because he is JCVD's stunt man. Ladies, grab a towel if you need it. I'm bringing on Mr. Todd Senofonte. What's up, Todd?
What's up? It's been a while.
It has, but they say absence makes the heart grow fonder. So I do love you more than I did the last time. And I thank you so much for being here, man. Thank you.
Thank you. It's cool. I was happy when you called.
Thank you, man. I'm glad to hear that. And we're going to have a good time today. So, it's just two buddies hanging out, having a conversation. So we'll get this started with the first question. When and where did you grow up?
I grew up in Dunmore, Pennsylvania. Now, when people ask me where I'm from, I usually say Scranton because Scranton, Pennsylvania is on the map. But Dunmore is a little town in Scranton, northeast Pennsylvania.
And I understand that because I'm from a small town too. So when people ask me where I'm from, I just tell them like San Jose or something like that. That's much closer because I grew up in a town called Prunedale. No one's ever heard of that before. So
I've never heard of it.
I understand. So what time did you grow up? Were you a 70s kid?
Oh, yeah. I was 1969.
Oh, man. 69.
I'm an old guy.
Well, you damn sure don't look it, Todd. You look great. You joined the Army, correct?
Army National Guard.
Okay, what was the reasoning behind that? Did you have a feeling of patriotism? Were you a ne'er-do-well, and that was your way of escaping trouble, or
I mean, I've always been, a patriot, love my country, our country, and I needed money to pay for college, so I got the GI Bill through the National Guard. Did my basic training back in 1991, Fort Benning, Georgia. And for me, I was so used to, it wasn't more as far as the physicalness, through basic training, that was easy for me. The challenge was, the mental toughness. Up until then, I've never had, somebody in your face yelling, screaming, so it was it was an adjustment, but I feel that, it made me, mentally strong. And as far as, the physical work, getting up at 4:30, doing PT, running 2 miles. And then my one accomplishment during basic training was I got the physical fitness patch, which was in my unit, doing push-ups, sit-ups, and the 2-mile run. So that was probably one of my greatest accomplishments, physical-wise. Getting that patch, it meant a lot to me. You wear your hood, Army, and you have the little patch on there. It's rare. You don't see a lot of them, but I was great when I was grateful when I accomplished that feat.
Yeah, that's a great feeling, because you are mentally and physically beat down from the moment. I remember when I arrived I was in Sea Cadets first, kind of like an ROTC thing. I had an older brother, so I had, someone kicking my ass from day one. But I remember pulling up to basic training, and they couldn't wait to get those doors open on the bus and just start breathing fire on you the whole time you're there. I mean, it's like having a rabid German Shepherd inches from your face, just har, 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 the whole time.
Even before you get off the bus, they're on the bus.
Yeah. Our RDCs, they were trying to reach through the bus door and open it up before the bus driver had a chance. It was crazy. But I had like a little boot camp experience, so it wasn't quite a shock to me. But yeah, having somebody up your ass from the moment you open your eyes until you finally get to sleep.
They break you down and then build you back up.
They sure do. to achieve and receive the physical fitness patch. Congratulations. So how long were you in the National Guard?
6 years.
Okay. Right. And did you ever do any traveling? Did you see any other parts of the world where you were in the service?
No, the service, no. It was just, basic training in Fort Benning, Georgia. And then in Scranton, PA was where our unit was in Scranton. The
Okay.
Watchers Armory at the time.
Nice. So speaking of the military, Todd, you have to tell people the story of how you were discovered, because younger folk, they're used to the internet age. So it's all about emails or text message or something like that. And your response comes pretty quick, within a day or so, or maybe minutes. Your response can be instant compared to how it used to be. But the story of how you were discovered and that time to wait, I really want you to tell people that story, because it's a great.
Okay. Once upon a time, back in, like I said, 1991 basic training, the night before graduation, drill sergeants rolled in this TV or a VCR, and they put a movie in, and they said, guys, enjoy. So we started the movie, and we're watching the movie, and I were watching the movie, and it was Kickboxer. And I'm like, Kickboxer? No, I never heard of Kickboxer. So we started watching the movie, and then some of the guys kept, turning to me and looking around, and I'm like, what are you looking at? I said, you look like that guy. I said, who is it? Well, it's Jean Claude Van Damme. I said, oh, really? So yeah, watching the movie, watching the movies, and it ended, and I was like, oh yeah, there is a little resemblance. So I graduated basic training. I went back to from Fort Benning, Georgia. Went back to Dunmore, Scranton, whatever, and I went to Penn State Scranton Extension for 2 years. I played baseball and basketball there. Joined the military, graduated. So I went back to school. This time I went down to the main campus, Penn State University. When I got there, just getting out of basic training, it was weird because, if you've ever been to Penn State, any college campus, it's party central. And I couldn't really grasp the what I had to do to concentrate. So what I did was I withdrew from Pennsylvania, Penn State. I went back to Scranton, took a semester off, and then I ended up going to Bloomsburg University. It's another school in Pennsylvania. So it's funny because the night after, prior to graduation, I was at this Halloween party. And at the time, it was fun to dress up as a girl and do stupid things. So I was dressed up as a girl, and I look over, I was at this party, and these girls are like, oh, come here. I walked over, and you know who you look like? I have a wig on, makeup on it. You look like Jean Claude Van Damme. I was like, really? It's the second time I heard that. So I graduate Bloomsburg. I go back to Scranton. And then a week after I was there, me and my buddies went to this place in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. It's an outdoor patio. And we're walking in, and I see Ray Howlett, one of the original American Gladiators. Her fighting name was Zap, she, straight black, blonde hair. And I went over. I said, hey, Ray, how you doing? Yeah, Todd Senofonte. She goes, I thought you were Jean Claude Van Damme when you walked in. I was like, Ray, I've heard that so many times. She goes, before you leave, come see me. I was like, okay, cool. So we walk around, it started raining. And then my buddy was like, hey, let's go. I said, hold on, I got to go find Ray. Oh, there she is. I walked over I said, hey, Ray, we're taking off. She goes, Todd, I really want to sit down with you. I really want to talk to you. I said, okay. She goes, next week, let's have lunch. Fine. She goes, write up a bio. I really want to talk to you. So I went, I went to meet her for lunch. I had the lobster bisque. So she's reading my bio, and she goes, Todd, you should really consider doing so. I said, well, what do you recommend? She goes, you should, take some classes, get some pictures taken, but you should really do something about this. I was like, all right, So I went home, a couple, 2, 3 days later, I see this ad in the paper. It's a local model wanted for appliance brochure. I call them up. They go, yeah, we can use it. Come on down. So I showed up. They give me a shirt that says Joe on it. And, they give me a big long screwdriver. Okay, go over to the refrigerator and pretend you're tightening it. Look at the camera. Okay, look away. Now go over to the stove. The guy taking a picture goes, you know who you look like? I'm like, Eddie Murphy. Look just like Jean Claude Van Damme. So as we finish the shoot, the guy reaches into his pocket. He pulls out a business card. He says, here, see what we can do with it. I look at it, and it said, ICM Jack Geliter's office, Beverly Hills. Cool, man. Thanks. Went home. I can say a couple, 2, 3 days later, I'm at home eating my Cocoa Puffs, and I find the card. You know what? What the heck? I called my cousin Gigi up. She's a photographer. I said, Gigi, can you take some pictures of me doing the kicks and the splits? Yeah, come on down. Go down to the studio, take the pictures, get the pictures back. I FedEx them from Dunmore, Pennsylvania to Beverly Hills, not thinking anything of it. Unsolicited mail. Who opens unsolicited mail? So maybe 3 days later, my mom comes and said, hey, you got a message. I look at it, 310. Wait, that's California. So I called the number up. I said, hello, Todd Senofonte, return your call. Guy in the line, hey, Todd, we're glad you called. We received your packet. You look great. Mr. Van Damme is out of the country, but we're going to make sure he sees these. I'm like, all right, cool, thanks. Hung up the phone, called all my buddies. Hey, guess what? So I waited another week, 2 weeks. I sent more pictures. Waited another week, sent more pictures. Then finally just called just to check in. Hey, Todd Senofonte, just checking in with you. Todd, we're glad you called. Jean Claude is doing a film in Pittsburgh called Sudden Death. You're in Scranton. Pittsburgh is about 5 hours away. We're not going to guarantee anything, but you never know. All right, thanks. I end up packing up a little Subaru, drove 5 hours to Pittsburgh, didn't know where I was going to stay. I didn't care. Pulled into the parking lot, walked up to the production office, and there's a girl at the front desk writing something down. She looks at me, gives me a double take. Oh, Mr. Van Damme, you're here. I'm like, no, I'm Todd. I'm just here for the stand-in job. Oh, have a seat. So we had asked questions, and then the second AD came out and said, Todd, any chance of you coming back next week to meet the director? And I was like, let me think. Yeah. So I go back and I come back the next time. Same thing. I walk into the production office. Second AD comes in, says, hey, Todd, have you met JC yet? I'm like, no. Follow me. So we're walking out. It was at the Westin Hotel in Pittsburgh. Walking down the hallway. I see him in the distance with his robe on, checking out his wardrobe. And the second AD goes, hey, JC, this is Todd. He's going to be your new stand-in. Jean Claude walks over to me. He goes, whoa, great double. Where'd you find this guy? I'm like, pleasure to meet you, Jean Claude. Big fan. He goes, great. Okay, yeah, see you on set. So when I first started, so that was like hitting the lottery. I mean, what are the chances? So I started off, and I'll explain if your viewers don't understand, there's a difference between a stand-in, a photo double, and a stunt double. Jean Claude already had a stunt double, so they didn't need me for any of that. So what I did was a stand-in is an actor or an actress that comes on the set before the actors come on to get the lighting. So if the camera is, to the right of you, the camera guy will say, okay, Todd, go over to that desk, look this way. Okay, go back, look this way. So when Jean Claude would come on the set, I would say, okay, Jean Claude, you got to go over to the desk, look that way, look this way. And then, so that was my initial experience on this big budget. It was a $35 million budget. So just standing in for him. And then there was one time we're on the Civic Arena. It was during the NHL strike. So the Penguins, were on strike. So we're in the Civic Arena. And I was on the second level, the camera guy was behind me. And he said, okay, Todd, just look over at the crowd. Okay, look this way, look this way. And then from behind me, I hear somebody say, hey, which one do you like? And it was Jean Claude. It was, well, hundreds of girls. I was like, the girls are pretty hot. He goes, yeah, they got to be careful these days. I said, I know, just got out of a really long relationship. He goes, really? He goes, hold on. He does a scene. He comes back up the steps. He goes, come with me. So now we're going up to the top level, sitting down. I'm sitting down with Jean Claude. And he goes, so tell me, what happened with your girl? I said, well, I had this opportunity and she wanted to get married. I couldn't pass it up. He goes, relationships in this business, they're difficult. They can work, but they are difficult. So then we just started talking about, eating, eating, working out, and eating, working out. And then that was our first initial contact. A PA comes walking up the steps and said, oh, Todd, they're ready for you. I look at Jean Claude. I look at him. Hey, I'm talking to Jean Claude here. Oh. We started laughing. He goes, oh, you better go. I said, okay, we'll talk to you later. So that was my first, contact with him away from everybody else. Mm-hmm. So throughout the movie, again, I wouldn't bother him. I would do what I had to do. But for me, because I just wanted to learn the business. When I was finished for the day, other stand-ins would go home. I would stay and sit back and just watch. I'd watch, Peter Hyams, the director. Gary Hyams was the stunt coordinator. And I just wanted to watch. I wanted to learn the lingo, the whole process of this business. So eventually, they used me as a photo double. Okay, now the stand-in was to get the lighting. Now a photo double is an actor or an actress that comes on the set and does scenes where you really don't see the actors or actress's face, like running away from the camera, running past the camera, inserts of their hands. And that was my first, experience as a photo double. Again, Mark Stefanich was the stunt guy, so he did all the crazy stunts. But I do have to tell you a funny story. We had a night off, and we were at this place called, I think it's either Chauncey's or Donzi's in Pittsburgh. It was like a nightclub, and we walked in. I'm with some people. A lot of the crew was there, and the DJ makes an announcement. He goes, hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you've all heard that, we're filming a movie here with Jean Claude Van Damme called Sudden Death. And we have Todd here, Jean Claude Van Damme stunt double. I'm like, oh, shit. I ran over to the DJ. Now, it's a very touchy subject to take credit for somebody else's job. I went over to the DJ booth. I said, dude, I'm just his, photo double, stand-in. Oh, really? Because a lot of people in the business don't really know the difference. And Mark was there, the stunt double. He grabs me. He goes, hey, I don't appreciate you, saying. I'm like, Mark, on a stack of Bibles, I have never said I was a stunt double. I said photo double. These people don't know the difference. He goes, okay. So the next day, I went over to the stunt coordinator. I said, did you hear what happened? He goes, yeah. He goes, don't worry, it's okay, I talked to Mark about it, and I would say, hey, is there anything I can do? Can I maybe? He goes, look, your time's going to come. Just, be patient. Okay. So again, I got to do the stand-in, the photo doubling, and then towards the end of the shoot, I'm thinking to myself, am I ever going to work with him again? So I just walked right over to him. I said, hey, Jean Claude, I said, if you need me for the quest, let me know. He goes, okay, go over to the producer and give me your information. Back then, you had to write stuff down. You can't text anything. So I went over. I said, Jean Claude said, if you need me, okay, give me your information. So we wrapped Sudden Death, and then I went back to Dunmore. Maybe a month and a half later, the first AD gives me a call and says, hey, Todd, are you available to go to Thailand with us for the quest? Yeah. He goes, okay, same thing. Stand in, photo double. Mark's going to do the stunts. I said, cool. All right. So now my first time overseas, 1995, I go to Thailand. You get off that plane, it's like a sauna. I mean, it was so hot and everything. We started in Phuket, and then went to Chiang Mai, Ayutthaya, and then Bangkok.
Yeah.
That's one place every guy needs to visit. We had a lot of fun there. So again, just the stand-in stuff, the photo doubling stuff. For me, my second film, and then who's on the set? Sir Roger Moore. It doesn't get any legendary than that.
Yeah.
And he was the nicest guy. There was one time we were all outside of the trailers having lunch, and he would come by with a water jug. He goes, "Would you like some water?" I'm like, "Yeah, thanks." Right? Water. And great actors on that. Jack McGee, James Remar, and of course, Janet Gunn. She's a great actress. And then again, same thing. After the quest, damn, am I ever gonna? Hey, Jean Claude, you need me for maximum risk? Okay, go. Went over to the producer. Yeah, okay, I got your information. I go to my third film, Maximum Risk. We filmed that in Nice, and then New York and Philly. But in Nice, now it's a very difficult to get your SAG card, and it's very expensive to get your SAG card. But my third film, I've got to give props to Charlie Pacerni, the stunt coordinator. One day, we're on set in France. I'm sitting behind the camera, just relaxing. Mark was on first unit shooting something, and I see Charlie pacing back and forth, looking at his watch, going, "Oh." And then he sees me. He goes, "Hey, Todd, you want to do this?" I was like, "What is it?" "We're going to harness you to the hood of the car and crash into tables and chairs." Yes. So that was how I got my SAG card, doing my very first stunt.
Wow.
Instead of paying back then, I think it might have been like a grand or 1,500, but nowadays it's ridiculous. But that was how I got my SAG card and Maximum Risk. Then I started doing more of the action. Mark did all the crazy stuff, but then during the film, if you see like being chased through the cars, Mark did a lot of that, and then they would put me in there doing some of that. And then after, and of course, Natasha Henstridge.
Yeah, that'll work. Yeah.
She is a beautiful girl, great actress, beautiful girl. I got to do a kissing scene with her.
Oh man, that's too bad.
She enjoyed it. So there's a scene where the camera's behind you, and you see the back of Jean Claude's head, and I tilt this way, and can we take that again? I think the light was off. Can we do another take of that? But yeah, sudden Maximum Risk, and then the big film for me was Double Team.
Huge, yeah.
By then they had my information in the system, or the Rolodex, whatever. So I didn't really have to say, "Yeah, okay, just be ready. You'll be ready." So Double Team comes, and Dennis Rodman, Mickey Rourke, incredible guys. Off camera, they're just normal. I'm not saying you're normal, but I'm just saying they're like normal like me. Like you can talk to them and very personable. But of course, when the camera's on them, they switch. But that was a big scene where I did probably the craziest thing I've ever done. Being chased by the tiger through the Coliseum.
Yeah. Please tell us about that scene and the phone call that you made.
The phone call, yeah, the important phone call I had to make. Before we shot that, I went over to the producer. I said, "Can I borrow your phone? I just want to give my mom a quick call." "Okay." "Hey, Mom, yeah, we're gonna do the tiger scene now." "Oh, really? Is it nice?" "Oh, yeah, it's a really nice." I'm petting it as I'm talking. "Yeah, it's really nice. It's gentle. It's looking at me now. It's really gentle." "Okay, honey, I love you too. Bye." "Okay, I'm ready." I'm ready. So the scene, in the film, it's like that. But it took like 4 days to shoot that actual scene, because even though these tigers are trained, you know, they see somebody running, they're going to run after it. So what we had to do was, before I got onto the set, especially in the actual arena, the wrangler, Randy Miller, one of the best in the business, brought the tiger out, and we were like all the way back. So he would guide the tiger where I was supposed to run, so it'd know where to run. Now you insert me. Now it had something to run at. So there's a scene where I'm running towards the camera, and then I got to go around the corner. So that scene was, before we shot it, the tiger was next to me in a big cage, and Charlie Petroni was like, "Hey Todd, try to get the tile riled up."
Oh.
I'm like, "What do you want me to?" I was like, "Ah!" And the fangs were like this. I was like, "Oh yeah, you happy now?" So when they said action, I got maybe, I'm going to say, a good 15 to 20 feet start. So I would action, and then I just heard the cage open, and then boom, boom. I'm running. So I go past the camera. I actually had a cage for myself. So I actually dove in a cage. Stunt guy in the cage would shut it. And then as the tiger came by, he had a cage and then shut it. So that was, my heart was pounding, man. That day I'm fast, but that day I was really fast. And then in the Civic Arena, when the tiger chases us, I got to run up the steps, and then they release a tiger. So as I'm running up the steps, I can't really look back. These steps are like so tiny. I had to go like this, and then I had to run down these tiny steps. I'm running down the steps, and I just hear breathing. I get to the bottom. I dive into my cage. We shut it. Tiger comes down, runs into his cage. He shuts it. And then one day, all you hear over the radio is, "The tiger is loose. The tiger is loose. Everybody in the wagon. The tiger is loose." Everybody in the wagons were looking out. And then 15 minutes later, "Tiger secure, all clear."
No.
And the funny, I don't think I told you this on the last thing we did, but I went over to Dennis one time and said, "Hey, Dennis, if you ever want me to teach you to make some free throws, hey, let me know." "Oh, okay, cool." Joking with him.
You need somebody to help you with that.
Yeah.
I'm your man.
And then after that was Knockoff. So all in all, and I was still living in Pennsylvania. So I would shoot these movies, go back to Pennsylvania. So after Double Team was Knockoff, go to Hong Kong. And that was kind of cool because I was there for the Chinese handover. It was the celebration. They had fireworks going on for hours, and they actually caught some of the footage. If you see the fireworks, that's the actual footage of the Chinese handover going on. And then pretty much I was pushed in, to do the stunts. We had a guy named Alex Kuzalecki from Australia. Great acrobatic double. And then, we pretty much, handled all the rickshaw stuff, and he did a lot of, well, in the Quest, when you see when Jean Claude gets on the stilts, Alex did all that. He did all the stilt work stuff. But yeah, Double Team, Knockoff was I had another close call in Knockoff. We're driving a little speedboat, and I'm supposed to drive the boat between these two big cargo ships, and there was a tow line, and I was supposed to drive between the tow line, get up on the seat, and then jump off and grab the tow line. I get right to the tow line, and the boat stalls. So the one barge ship crashes into my little boat. I'm like, "Oh, geez, I'm dead. That was another close call, but they got the shot done, and it looks pretty good. Yeah. So,
Wow.
and then, okay. So after that knockoff, I go back to Pennsylvania, and that's when I make the move from Pennsylvania to California. So I arrive in Woodland Hills, California in 99. I'm there maybe 2 weeks. I was staying with a couple of friends, and there was a husband and a wife, and the wife was a teacher. So she goes, "Hey, Todd, can you give me a ride to the school, and then you can take the truck if you need it?" All right. So I drop her off. I drive back home here, and I stopped at it's called the Topanga Mall in Woodland Hills. I just stopped by, walked around, and at the time they had these stores called the Sharper Image. Do you remember those
Yep.
stores?
Yep.
Big massage chairs and everything. So I'm sitting in the chair, getting a massage like this, and then a girl runs into her mom and dad and says, "Hey, Jean Claude Van Damme is here." I get up, and there's Jean Claude in the middle of the mall with his Gladys, Christopher, and Bianca. And I walk over. He says, "Jean Claude." He goes, "Oh, Toddy." I said, he goes, "Oh, yeah, I'm here." He goes, "Good. I need you to come with me to Dallas to finish up Universal Soldier Return. We'll get all the information to you." I said, "Okay, cool." So I'm there 2 weeks, and I get my first gig. I'm like, "God, this is awesome. This is awesome." Because when I first got there, I thought, yeah, I'm not going to struggle. I got I did fitness magazines. I had, all these stuff under my belt. It's not like that. It is a grind. Timing is everything. For me, timing is everything. And, I'm still, hustling, meeting, talking like that. So after, what did I say? Was it Legionnaire? No, Universal Return.
Universal Soldier. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was only there for a week, and it was specifically for the end fight scene with Michael Jai White. So I show up in Dallas. I get there, and people are like, "Wow, you're Jean Claude's double." Yeah. Have you ever done? I said, "Well, this is my fifth film with them." Oh, I can understand why. And then I would show up on set, and there's Michael Jai White. Michael Jai White. He's a incredible guy, incredible martial artist. I said, "Michael, huge Spawn fan." I was like,
yeah.
"Spawn 2? Oh, yeah, we're talking about it. It was back in 99. And then I see Goldberg. Walk over to Goldberg. "Bill." Give him like a fist bump, a bro chest bump. And I said, "Don't hate me, Bill, but Sting is my favorite wrestler."
Oh.
He goes, "Steve is a great guy." That's cool to hear. And it was just, it was just, for me, again, coming from a small town and then kind of getting not pushed in, but that door opened a little bit. I walked in, and again, I would just, even though I've had all those movies under my belt, I would still wait and just watch and learn. And even the cast and crew on every film, I forgot to mention, I try to introduce myself. I try to meet everybody because you become a family. You can be working maybe just for 3 weeks or 3 months, but you get to know these people. I still keep in contact with people I worked in Thailand, and they have so many interesting stories. They ask me, I tell them, but then I ask them, and it's like, wow, all these great actors, actresses they worked with, the traveling. I mean, for me, the traveling is in itself, priceless. Hong Kong, Thailand, Morocco, Rome, France. It's Romania, Bulgaria. Yeah. I mean, I got to see the world, and I'm so glad I did, because especially in Thailand, we got to drive to these little villages, and if you see how they live, how they survive, you appreciate what you have.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have much, you have more than them, and it just makes you appreciate, who you are, and what you're doing. Yeah, and then after that, there was a little dry spell for a few years when I was in California. I lost contact with Jean Claude. Then I started doing, more of the fitness magazines. I would get the Craigslist out online and the papers. Not the penny saver, but it was a recycler, I think it was. And then, actor needed, call up, show up. I just wanted to get some more footage of me doing the acting, not just, doing the stunts.
Yeah.
So this film called A Reason to Live, I saw an ad, A Reason to Live, dramatic scene, actor wanted. Now, there was no pay. At the time, I didn't care because I just needed to get some footage.
Mm-hmm.
So I called them up. Yeah, I'll send you the script. If you like it, we can do like a meeting and they liked me. We shot it. And it was a very, very, it was so real. I had to go back to, when my dogs died or somewhere, method actors, they go back to, more serious stuff. But for me, it was my dogs, and that just got me into that one scene at the very end. And I used that on my reel along with my stunt reels. And there was other little films, that I did. I started doing the sci-fi films, Super Shark, Jersey Shore, Shark Attack, Turbulent Skies with Casper Van Dien. He's a great guy too.
Mm-hmm. From Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers, yeah. Mm-hmm. And now, of course, I got to reunite with, rest in peace, Paul Sorvino on Jersey Shore Shark Attack because I met him first on Knockoff. Paul Sorvino was on Knockoff. Rob Schneider was on Knockoff. Layla Rashan was on Knockoff. So,
oh yeah, Layla Rashan.
She's really beautiful, and she was really nice. Down to earth girl. She's really nice. I got to look her up, see if she remembers me. But when I saw Paul Sorvino on the second one, he goes, "Oh, I remember you," because he used to go to Scranton a lot. He had a lot of friends in Scranton, so he was familiar with the Scranton Dunmore area. So it was really cool to reunite with him. And then after that, I got some film. Well, my biggest role, I think, acting wise, it wasn't the Iron Bodyguards, Fist of Legend 2 Iron Bodyguards. That was my first on-screen role, but there was really not a lot of acting. It was more fighting. But my very first big role was a film called The Rideshare Killer with Eric Roberts, and I got to play, one of the leads. So that was my biggest performance to date. There are things that are possibly going to happen maybe January, February. Nothing is concrete, but more towards the more the acting stuff. Mm-hmm. And if more stunt stuff comes up, in this business, you take what you can get. You don't turn down a job because you never know who you're going to meet. And that is something way back in the day I didn't really know about because I was just concentrating on the standing in job, the photo doubling job, and the stunt work. But yeah, it's important to network. You don't need an agent in this business, especially if you're starting out. I would suggest that you do what I did. You get some background work, you get some work that has no pay but footage, just so you have something to present. Because if you have an agent, with no film on your belt, it's pretty hard to sell you. So, and I'm still doing that, because I when I first stepped on to the set of Sudden Death, it was just like something like, it was an aura of like, man, I belong here.
Yeah.
Big cranes, lights, trucks, big. So it was fun, man. And then the latest film we did, we talked, did we talk about it last time?
I think we did.
Darkness of Man.
Yeah, we did. Gabe brought that up. Yeah.
Darkness of Man, we filmed this past January, and it's gonna be interesting. I think his fans are really gonna like it. It's like a dark film, but his acting, man, it's he's gonna surprise a lot of people. Again, a great cast. It was only an 18-day shoot, but the hours were crazy. It was like 2 in the afternoon till maybe 2, 3 in the morning. So it was
Oh wow.
long hours.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this.
It's not all glamorous, you know. What you see on the film, it looks like it's it's easy peasy, but a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Speaking of rideshare killer, with Eric Roberts, and that's a big dog right there. Eric Roberts. I've been watching him for years.
He's a great guy
And
too. Incredible.
great actor.
A legend.
What, if at all, maybe you got ice water in your veins, but which were you more nervous or maybe apprehensive about, pulling up to sudden death for that first day, getting out of your car and locking in, walking through the parking lot and going into the stadium for the first time, or having that big role, being in front of the camera more than you have ever been, where there's some sweaty hands in there when you were getting ready to start those days?
You know what? Nothing beats the very first time, that feeling of stepping onto a set, especially sudden death. Again, it was like a $35 million budget. And the feeling, I don't think anything can beat that feeling. When the rideshare killer came, there was almost like a calmness. I was still a little anxious, but I had the the experience and of what it takes, because again, I would observe more of the actors, doing their thing on sets, on Jean Claude's films, than the stunt guys, because I just wanted to learn. And that role, Rideshare Killer, it's still on, I think, Amazon and Tubi. But for me, yeah, it was a big accomplishment. Being chased by a tiger, or having this like big dialogue, you got to memorize, and I would always come prepared. Again, another advice for young actors and actresses in there: be prepared. You don't have to memorize every single line, but make sure you have the gist of it, because there are some directors out there that will let you ad lib or add something in or take something out. But my big thing is just be prepared, and more importantly, be on time.
Yeah, be punctual, be an addition, not a headache, to the crew. Make sure you're there early. What type of martial arts training do you have?
I studied Tang Soo Do and Sambo. I had the privilege, before I went to do Fist of Legend 2 Iron Bodyguards, I went to New York for 2 days, and I got to train with the great Joe Louis.
Oh, wow.
Passed years ago, but
yeah. R.I.P.
And it was my first time in Sambo, and Joe was like, yeah, me too. So it's me and Joe Louis, and these guys are showing us all these moves. There's some, you'll see it in the movie. You'll see some of the locks, but just, again, meeting Joe Louis, legend martial artist, and of course my athletic background and military background, really, I'm not saying it came easy, but it came easy, And I forgot to tell you one more story from Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Now, obviously, you can't tell I'm a Steelers fan, right?
No.
So we were filming on a Saturday night. Now, we were supposed to film at the Civic Arena. For some reason, it was closed down. So unfortunately, we had to film at Three River Stadium. And that night, the Steelers were practicing on the field.
Oh, wow.
It was a locker room scene. So I'm like, man, the Steelers are here, man. So in between takes, I would go to the PA. Hey, any chance I can just walk out? Yeah, go ahead. So I'm walking out, walking onto the field. Greg Lloyd, Kevin Green, Yancey Thigpen, Rod Woodson, Barry Foster, and then Coach Cowher walks by. Hey, Coach! He walks by. He got the chin,
Yeah.
Awesome. So, and then again, we didn't have a lot of cell phones or we had those disposable cameras. So I'm like waiting in the hallway because I extra time. My mom and dad came out to visit too. So I'm just waiting in the hallway, and there comes Greg Lloyd. Greg Lloyd is one of my favorite, Steelers. I said, Greg, hey, can I get your autograph? Yeah, sure. He had his like suits. He goes, here, you know these? Sure. I'm holding these. I got a little piece of paper. All right, man, there you go. I'm like, yeah, my camera. I forgot my camera. But just meeting all these guys. And the funny thing is, my dad was on set with us watching, and he sees Barry Foster. They were standing outside of where we're filming. And my dad goes, hey, go over to Barry Foster and say, hey, what's up, Emmett?
No.
Nah, it'll kill me.
No. Yeah.
But it was funny. But that was, for me, I mean, I don't get starstruck of actors and actresses. But when it comes to athletes, being an athlete all my life, it's like, I mean, that's it. Meeting all these guys was a dream come true.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I've had the opportunity to meet some of the players on the team. I'm a Niner fan, and I met Roger Craig one time. That was really cool. We actually helped him out. He was talking to some girl because there was a college track invitational after our high school when I was a senior, and he's talking to this girl. And so my buddies, I was like, that's Roger Craig. Let's go talk to him. I don't want to. What if he doesn't? I was like, man, when are we ever going to see Roger Craig again? So, 5, 6 high school kids go up to him. Oh, hey, can we get your autograph? So, we probably helped him seal the deal. But he was a great guy, and not that he needed our help. But, it was really cool to meet him and actually have him meet in person.
I love the way he ran, man. He ran that with those big knees up in the air. He was a power runner.
Roger Craig was legit, man. He's one of the greats, just like, the guys you're naming, one of those just all-time great players for a team. Speaking of, all the stunt work you did, what kind of injuries did you rack up? You mentioned that close call you had on the boat. I'm sure you got some pretty good bumps and bruises.
I've been fortunate. I've been the worst I ever had was a bruised rib, and that was from Universal Soldier: The Return. I'm not sure if you remember the fight scene with Michael Jai White, but there's a scene where I had to I get kicked and I gotta actually jump and roll and crash on the tables and the chairs, and that was when I bruised my rib. Other than that, I've been maybe like a ankle tweak. But I've been fortunate.
That's good.
There's one thing that I wouldn't do was fire. I try to stay away from the fire stuff because I've seen guys, in the business 30, 40, 50 years, they're getting burned. I'm like, what's going to happen to me if that happens? But Mark did all that. Like at Maximum Risk, there's like a fire scene, and then Mark did all that. But nowadays, I mean, they have all these precautions that they didn't have back in the day. So if I did and there was an opportunity, I probably would, but I would make sure, the stunt guys would come over and make sure everything was fine before we actually do it.
Yeah, definitely. So now, and the story of how you were discovered, man, that is so cool. And it's so neat because number one, especially the lady from American Gladiators, for her to be nice enough to do that. And for you to not forget that in boot camp when they told you, man, you look like, and for her to say, you look like, for you to hold on to that. And then you get back home and then sending the photos and having your cousin who's a photographer, just all of these things lined up, man. And it's so cool that you were able to maximize it.
If I didn't answer that ad in the paper, the guy taking the picture of the brochure, he's the one that actually had the card. I mean, yeah, but it's, fate, luck, timing.
Yeah, all that mixed together, man. That's totally cool. And being that you've been pretty much to every department in making a movie, stunts, in front of the camera, behind the camera, stand-ins, photo doubles, all that stuff. Are you able to watch a movie like a normal person, like without the burden of knowledge of all the time you spent on set? Like, can you sit back, relax, and just be entertained, or is it hard to shut off the actor in you?
Well, you try, but you can pick out things like this and go, okay, well, that's that. But yeah, I try to be normal, but it's hard when you know exactly what's going on and what it takes to
Yeah, for you to just be entertained and kind of turn a blind eye to the stuff that you know. Yeah. All right, so here's a few. We'll do a little rapid fire. I'm gonna say some names or a situation, and you just pick one, whatever comes to your mind first. Or for this first question, whichever one you would want more. So since you are obviously a casual fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, casual, here and a couple days, here and there,
here and there, game or two a year. And you're a Pittsburgh or you're a Pennsylvania guy. Would you rather have another Steelers Super Bowl or a Pirates World Series?
Super Bowl.
Easy. Bruce Lee or Jackie Chan?
Jackie.
Tyson or Ali?
Tyson.
Really? Me too personally. I think more because Tyson was more my era. I wasn't alive in the 60s when Muhammad Ali was really kicking ass into the 70s. Yeah. But yeah, I agree, man. Mike Tyson, there was just
in his prime, oh man,
it was controlled chaos. He was very talented.
Ali was one of the greatest. I don't think he's the greatest. I'm gonna throw in Rocky Marciano. I gotta throw him in.
Undefeated.
Hey, one Paisan to another Paisan.
Hey, and he was undefeated. Rocky Marciano, he was a killer, man. His punches were deadly.
But Ali had he was so quick that reach. But man, if you got into clinch with Tyson, that uppercut, oh my God.
Yeah, good night. Good night. Thanks for coming out. Yeah, it was, and Tyson, he's known for his knockout power, but he was a great boxer. His moves. I remember seeing a clip where a guy swung at him 3 times and never touched him because he got so low and bobbing and weaving. But Tyson, I think a lot of fighters, he had him beat before he even got in the ring.
Yeah,
they were just
exactly that stare down.
They were afraid. He had him, half of the fight won before he got in the ring. And if you did get in the ring, like you said, that uppercut, you're gonna get some ammonia under your nose to wake you up, and you're gonna be asking, what happened? What happened?
Yeah.
On Double Impact, we have the intro is a bunch of clips from different action movies, and one of the ones has you in it from the movie Wheels on Meals with Benny the Jet. That scene looked so cool. Like how was that? Did that take a lot of takes?
Meals on Wheels. I wasn't in that.
Wheels on Meals?
That's Jackie's film.
Gabe told me. No, I got confused. Gabe told me that.
Gabe needs to take a nap and go to bed.
Gabe's getting a text message after this.
Would have been awesome to do that.
But another one, and I know the fellas, they want to know this. Have you used you mentioned in Bangkok when you guys were there for the quest, and you guys, you went out and had a good time. Were you ever in an opportunity to use the fact that you favored Jean Claude Van Damme to your advantage with the opposite sex?
I gotta admit, on sudden death, I did use it, but not how you think. We were at this other bar, and Yamar Yager, great Pittsburgh Penguin hockey player, came over to me, and we pretended I was Jean-Claude's brother. Now, I forgot he spoke French. So he would come over and said, bonjour, oh, bonjour. And then he started, this is Jean-Claude's brother, Oh, cool. Oh, okay. He started, what's so funny? I got a aviento. I had to go. But as far as with the girls, yeah, it did work, but I don't really need that much help.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying you did. You know, I'm not saying you did, but if the opportunity presented itself, and that's great to hear. I'm glad to hear that you use your powers for good. Thank you. Um, and all the sets you've been on and the crews and stuff, is there ever a sense of when you're getting close to the end of a movie? Is there ever maybe not sadness, but
No, there is.
it's coming to an end? You know.
You, it comes, and anybody that says it doesn't, because you're so passionate of what you're doing and you're so close to these people, like I said, you become family. You do get sad, and then when it's over, you get depressed because in this business, you have no idea when the next job is coming. So after a film, you can be off, months. Some people are off years. So that's why I just take advantage of being on the set. Even though I'm done, I stay on the set just to soak everything in. But you do get sad. You do get depressed because you don't want it to end. Because again, you just never know when the next job is going to come.
Yeah, and it sounds like a lot of fun. You know, like you mentioned, the travel. That's one of your favorite parts of it. And yeah, building that camaraderie because there is a lot of passion into it. You put a lot of time memorizing your lines. If you're doing stunts, going over that stuff, make sure you get that right so nobody gets hurt. Make sure nobody gets mauled by a tiger that they couldn't find for about 15 minutes.
I
And
still
speaking of that,
behind me up and down on my side.
yeah, you can't even eat Frosted Flakes.
Can't go to the zoo anymore.
But you're talking about all those movies, Sudden Death, Double Team. I grew up watching all those movies, so I'm almost rewatching the movie in my mind as you're describing it. And that scene with the tiger in Double Team, I remember watching that and seeing you, now that I know it's you, but running up those steps and the tiger coming behind you. And the tiger, it was so effortless for him to catch up to you. And I'm like, I remember
And then
thinking,
running
man,
down those steps. That was the scariest, running down the steps.
I'm like, whoever that dude is, because I know they didn't put JCVD in there to run from that tiger, but I was like, whoever that dude is, that dude's got some cojones because, yeah, you got a trainer on hand. And, yeah, okay, tiger, you're supposed to go here. We're going to walk you through it. But a tiger is a tiger. And it's ingrained in their minds for millions of years of evolution that if it runs from me, that's a meal. I'm supposed to go get that. So were you always kind of a risk taker as a kid? Were you the one jumping off the house, doing all the crazy stuff?
I'm the middle. I have a younger brother, Scott, and an older brother, Mark. So I'm in the middle. I would say that I'm a little different from both of them. They're very quiet. I'm more of the gregarious one. But growing up, me and my older brother, Mark, during sports, it was always like a competition, which I think was awesome because it made me better because I wanted to be, better than him. My mom and dad would always enter us in the punt, pass, and kick contest. Do you remember them?
Yeah.
The football, you punt it, as far as you can. They measure it. Then you throw it as far as, and then you kick it. And we would always get either first or second place. I think I got one bronze trophy, but we would always get either first or second place. So it was always that competition I had with my older brother.
Yeah, because when you mentioned on the movie where he asked, hey, Charlie, I believe his name was looking around, he said, hey, you want to do this? What we're going to do is strap you to the hood of a car. You were like, yeah. So I figured there had to be a history of doing crazy shit.
I was ready because that was my third film, and I'm always sitting back. I'm watching Mark do all these cool, crazy stuff. And then when he said that, I was like, yes. So it was, a lot of adrenaline because, again, even though I was harnessed, I'm thinking of because I made sure. We're not going to get into that movie Rust, but I made sure that okay, it's secure. Okay, we're secure. We're ready. Okay. I'm ready. Yeah, because safety is the number one priority, and even the last few films I did, the armorer is probably the most important person on set when it comes to weapons because you have your little safety briefing before. when the scene is cut, the armor runs over to you, takes the guns away, and when they're ready again, okay, he checks it, okay, hands it to you, and yeah, so it's safety is the number one priority in the stunt world.
And has there ever been a stunt you said no to? Like, I'm not doing it, other than fire?
No, because again, Mark was the one that did the fire. If they asked me at the time, I would probably be hesitant, but if there was no one else, I would probably do it. But no, everything else, I was just raring to go,
Mm-hmm. And what kind of hobbies do you have? Is there anything you're into? Cars, making the little tiny ships inside the bottles. What do you like to do to
Well, I have
enjoy yourself?
I have a Lego set. I like to build. No, well, before this whole crap happened in 2020, I'd go to the gym, maybe 3 or 4 times a week. I do love cars. Me and my dad and mom are Pennsylvania. We're like big Mustang buffs.
Mm-hmm.
He's got this beautiful 1993 Shelby Cobra. Ooh. It has 11,342 miles on it. It's in pristine condition. Every time I go visit, we'll take it out, for a nice drive. He's got a 65 fastback. He's got a 70 boss that he's restoring. I have an 03 out here. I have an 03 Mustang convertible, like to drive it around. But yeah, cars, working out. And when I can't get to the gym, I have push-up workout I do. And then, of course, my dogs, my dogs.
What kind of dogs do you have?
Dachshunds.
Okay.
Well, in Pennsylvania, growing up, German Shepherds, Chocolate Labs. And then when I moved to California, it's just Dachshunds. They're great dogs. They're so. I just love when they jump up to you, and they cuddle with you. And
yeah,
so they're
unconditional love, man.
They keep me, on my toes. We walk every day. My oldest one is almost 17, Stella, and she still has that little pep in her step. We give her that CBD oil. That's really helping her out with her joints and everything. So they're great. Stogie is the middle, and then Magnolia is a little dachshund. So yeah, they're like the Three Stooges. They're always up to something.
Now you mentioned the Mustangs that your dad has in Pennsylvania. How does he deal with the salt on the ground for the snow and stuff?
Well, they're all covered. They're covered. They're in the garage, during the winter, so they're all covered.
So they're only spring and summertime. All right.
Yeah, he'll bring them out. He'll go to local car shows in Pennsylvania. He'll take it out there, but when I go visit, we usually, we'll take them out, for a nice joyride.
Yeah, myself, that's one of my favorites, man. If I could amass a fleet of old school cars, that 65 fastbacks definitely in there.
Well, my favorite of all time, I think it's American Muscle, and I'm going to say a name, and if you're in the cars, you'll know who I'm talking about. Eleanor.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's the one. That's the one
60,
right there.
GT 500.
500. Yeah. Oh. Right there. Take that car off the screen from Gone in 60 Seconds and put it in my garage. That's the one.
Most beautiful car, I think ever made. And she's got the most beautiful ass.
Yeah, it's a front to back. I love that. Yeah, the car, of course. And also, it's also a fastback, but I to be honest, I'm not sure of the year, but the one that Steve McQueen drove in Bullet.
68.
Chase scene. Yeah. That chase scene through San Francisco. That's one of the greatest chase scenes ever. I love Mustangs, man. That's definitely in my
nothing. I don't think any car chase can come close to Bullet. That was yeah, it's just
even the sound.
And that was a 68 fastback, and I believe it was
a Charger. 68 Charger.
69 or 68.
I want to say 68 Charger that he was chasing. But just the sound, even if you just
another beautiful car. Just looking at that car.
Yeah, and also because my dad had one growing up, 65 Riviera with the hideaway lights.
Ooh.
That's, oh man, to fully restore one of those, just have that boat that just glide down the highway. I
Yeah.
love those cars, man. And you know what? I'm gonna say something that's a bit controversial amongst my friends who like cars. I'm a fan of the '93 Mustang 5.0. I like it.
Like
Convertible.
box. The
Yeah,
box.
I like it, man. I fell in love with it watching Menace to Society when I was like 13. So
It does.
yeah,
It's plain, but it's a Mustang.
yeah, it got some
You know?
muscle. It has balls to the sound. I love that 5.0. I really do.
Oh, my dad also has he was also like an Impala fan. He had a 64, 63 Impala convertible he's got. And he recently sold his 64 Impala.
Wow.
Those are really nice cars. When they're restored, those low riders.
They're beautiful. I was just watching something and somebody had a 60 Impala, and it kind of it was walking that line between the old 50s with the big fins on the back, but getting into the 60s. I love the 60 Impala too, man. Those things are beautiful. They really are. But now they have the new Chargers and the Challengers, and they're electric, and they have a little speaker on there to make the muscle car sound. I think that's a kick in the nuts to American muscle car. That is. Well, I'm sorry, you have a speaker? A speaker? No, the engine. They have an engine that makes the real sound, but yeah, that's another conversation.
That's a little far-fetched there.
But I thank you, man. I really appreciate you taking your time, especially pulling your time away from the three stooges there to hang out with me. I thank you, man, and I hope we can do this again. I hope
I appreciate it. Yep.
I hope that the projects you have coming up in January, February.
I'll keep in touch and
yes, please
keep you updated.
Yes. Yeah. Anything new you got coming out, man? If you want to come talk about it, you just shoot me a text message, man, and it's all good. I really appreciate you.
I will.
I love the stories, and I hope to be able to come back here and tell more, man. Thank you very much, Todd. And yeah, I will see you guys next time on the next episode of Green's House.